All right, guys. You're in for a treat today because I'm going to be pretty vulnerable with you. We're going to get real close and personal because not only am I out of the shower, and first off, how lucky are you? You got the most woke, most successful YouTube billionaire of all time who has a great body, is also very PG, and is friends with Elon Musk. You got that guy with you fresh out of the shower. How sexy is that? But also, I'm going to tell you something really embarrassing from my past. You see, I wasn't always so woke. In fact, you could say I was anti-woke. In fact, you could say I was the least woke YouTube fat boy with a yellow car business advice guy. But boy, did I think I was woke. And because I thought I was so woke, it led to me getting scammed for over $60,000 by one of the most depraved sociopaths I've ever met in my entire life. And I want to tell you the story because it pisses me off. And frankly, if you can understand how to spot people like this, they are hard to spot, believe it or not. I think it will save you a ton of money in your life. So gather around. It's story time. And it's quite a story. It's quite a tale. And so just cue the fancy intro.
Don't lose your way.
So anyways, I was scrolling around. God, this is bright. Looks like I'm staring into the sun. There we go. Now it doesn't look like now it looks like I'm super tan. All right, so look, I was looking around Facebook today, and one of my buddies sent me a link that Mirza is now in jail for fraud. He was basically running a cryptocurrency scam scheme. And don't worry, I'll give you all the juice, okay? This is going to be my dabble into the CoffeeZilla-like content, which I'm not going to do. I'll leave that to him. He's doing quite fine over there with that. That being said, I've suspected this and believed it. It's been going on for a few years now that he got caught, and I wanted to make this video for a while because I think it can be really helpful because people like this, they're sneaky. They're very sneaky. And frankly, I didn't want to make this video until it was all done. He had been sentenced because saying someone's guilty before they're not guilty can get you in all sorts of bad time. So let me just kind of give you the gist of it, and then I'll tell you the story. So there's this guy named Mirza, and basically he duped me out of $60,000 and many other people for much, much more. And what he basically did is he would basically parade as a person who was worth $500 million, and then he would basically become your friend, and I'll get into the details here in a second, and then basically kind of lure you into like some masterminds or something like that. And then he'd try and like put together these charities, or his last thing that got him super busted was a cryptocurrency fundraising, which I did not invest in. That was when I was like, hey, no. And I know what you're thinking right now. You're probably thinking, okay, Alex, you're just an idiot. I would never fall for anything like this. But I want to explain how people like this work, because after I got duped by I spent an extensive amount of time researching people like Bernie Madoff and anybody that's ran a big pyramid scheme in like the last 20, 30 years. Why this is so scary is because you usually think that con artists usually work on lower levels. They work at a lower scheme, and they usually are selling hoodwinks and doing little, wire fraud schemes and little backdoor things in back alleys. But usually the thing is the biggest con artists usually sit at the highest levels, and I'll explain why here in a second. Let me explain how worked, and also explain to you how, in general, con men work and what to look out for, because they almost all operate just like this. And I'm not talking about people that sell courses on the internet. I know everybody doesn't like gurus and business advice guys. I'm not talking about this. I'm talking about tried and true, dupe you into investing in a charity, run off with your money kind of con men. Okay, I'm talking about the really bad types. Let me just get into the story and lay it out. I think I've given you enough pretense. So essentially, I was about 24, 25, and just to lay it all out there, I was pretty naive at the time, and basically when I met people, I would always give them the benefit of the doubt. And my view on pretty much everything is if you were super critical of people or you're super skeptical all the time, you just had a bad attitude. So frankly, I don't blame this on this guy. It was totally my fault. And if anything, it taught me a priceless lesson, because I never thought people could behave at such a level in such a sociopathic way. So basically, I know a lot of other entrepreneurs. And so what would do is he would infiltrate networks of entrepreneurs, but he would never approach people directly. How he would approach people is he would befriend a lot of people in a network of entrepreneurs, very, very low key. And eventually he found a good enough amount of people that he could get some sort of reputation where the people would start talking about them. And then you would kind of meet him organically. So what would happen is you'd be talking with your friends like, oh yeah, I met this entrepreneur, he's from Dubai and blah, 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 blah. He's really cool. He's worth like $5 million, really down to earth and stuff like that. I'm like, oh yeah, that's really cool. It's nice to, you networking really well and stuff like that. And what Con would naturally do is then kind of network his way into your circle very organically. He never approached you. You wouldn't see him running an ad online or trying to sell to you or anything like that. That's exactly how it would happen. How con men will usually approach you is what they're going to do is they're going to use networks or other reputable people to approach you. And so what con would do is you would kind of start casually messaging, maybe in a group chat and be like, oh yeah, you seem like a pretty cool guy. I mean, you seem like you got potential if you want to chat sometime or something like that, whatever. Nothing aggressive. And so then what would happen is you would chat with him, and basically what his story was is he had this gambling company in the UK, and he was part of the company, was able to exit the company for a decent amount. And then what he was able to do is he was one of the angel investors in MySpace and some other tech company. And so basically he got lucky to some extent or knew some people in the investing space. And that's exactly how he achieved such a high net worth. Now, of course, if you are in the investing space, you're really into venture funding and stuff like that, you probably wouldn't have been duped by this. I didn't know anything about this at the time, and most people don't. But that wasn't how con got to you. And this isn't how con men get to you. They don't just tell you a big lie. What they do is con would network with a lot of other reputable people. Okay, and so what he would use is he would use those other reputable people to get to you. And then after he began talking to you, he would just simply tell a story, and that was it. He wouldn't try to sell you anything. He wouldn't do anything like that. He just kind of shoot the shit with you. You kind of hash it out, and he'd like, hey, what's your business? What do you do? Oh, that's pretty cool. This is what I kind of think about that. This is what I think is going on in an investing place. And he knew a lot of things. He sounded very wise. And more so when he was talking to you, there was zero doubt. There was zero hesitation. It was almost like he believed what he was saying. I think he kind of did in a certain way. And the thing that I think made it so people didn't question con is this. What con men also do is con men don't tell little lies. They tell giant lies. So one of the biggest or one of the funniest stories or one of the funniest cons I ever read about, and I don't know if this is true or not, but it puts what I'm going to say in example. There were these con artists, and basically they would hold these private meetings with really rich people in Paris and bring them in the meeting, hush, hush, shh, 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 and say, hey, look, France is going bankrupt and they have to sell the steel from the Eiffel Tower, and they're selling it at a premium, and we want to sell you all the steel at this massive discounted rate. And so what they were doing, and the reason why people believed them, is no one would make up a lie like this. No one would make up a lie this big. And so what these con men did is they routinely would then go and say, okay, cool, we're doing that. We're going to sell steel. You have to keep it hush-hush. You can't tell anybody. And they charge this price. It was like 1/10 of what the steel actually cost because France was going bankrupt. And then people would buy it, and then they say, okay, cool, you give us a check right now. We're going to give you the shipping and everything the next day. Then they disappear with the person's money. And they did this over and over and over again. And this is called the Eiffel Tower lie. See, what con men do, like Bernie Madoff, for example, is they don't tell little lies. They tell giant lies. And they make themselves very, very big so that people are intimidated. And if they are skeptical, they're too intimidated to call him out. See, a lot of people either fell for Com's thing or were skeptical of it, but they didn't say anything. And even as people became skeptical in his groups of certain things, nobody talked about it because nobody wanted to be on the wrong side of a $500 million guy. And no one wanted to get caught for defamation. And so everybody kind of either believed it or just let it go. But the thing was, after Com would get to know you, he wouldn't try to sell anything. He'd actually start introducing you to other important people that he knew. And so he'd actually go and he used other people to sell himself. And this is exactly what Bernie Madoff would do. Bernie Madoff, for example, would he'd have his friends and he'd get them in this fund. And of course, he was just doing a typical Ponzi scheme where people would put money in and then he would get other people to put money in and he'd pay the other people that put money in before with the money that other people put in. And he would just basically take his amount off the top. And so he was able to scam people out of billions of dollars doing this. And how Bernie Madoff would get people in is his friends would naturally talk about it, and then Bernie would agree to have a hush-hush meeting with the person. He wouldn't try and sell them, and the person basically had to sell themselves again to Bernie's fund. And if they ever questioned Bernie, because he made himself large in life, he was this guy that had this inside secret. He was generating billions of dollars, and nobody knew how he was doing it. And if anybody was skeptical or questioned him, he would get aggressive with them and say, "You're not ready for the fun. Get out of here. You're wasting my time. I don't want to deal with small thinkers like you." And that's how he would get people to say, "No. It's okay. You don't have to tell me. You don't have to tell me." And that is what a big-time con man does. They tell a giant lie, and then they intimidate you into questioning it. So just to recap so far, because this video is also more of a rant, I get that, but there's also an important lesson to learn here on how con men work. What con men do is they tell a gigantic big lie that is so big that people believe it by default, because who would tell such a huge lie? The Eiffel Tower lie. Then what they do is they use networks to sell themselves. They're going to find important, reputable people or lower level people to get to these people and use them to sell to you. Then what they're going to do is they're going to make it so you naturally approach them, or you naturally start talking to them. And when you start talking to them, they're always going to act like they're doing you a favor by taking your money. For example, Bernie Madoff would take, okay, this is one meeting, don't waste my time, I'll talk to you for a few seconds meeting. And, you know, I don't even let people in the fund, but et cetera kind of thing. And then anybody who's skeptical, what they do is when a person gets skeptical, what they use is intimidation and scare tactics, or saying the person isn't of a certain qualification to even get in on what they were doing. And so that's exactly what Com did. He told a giant lie. He used networks to get inside networks, and he would then use those people in the networks to keep confirming how authentic he was. And of course, he had a story and whatnot. And most people were too afraid to speak up and be skeptical because of intimidation. See, not only would being skeptical of Com lead to him potentially making you feel like an idiot, making you an outcast, but it would also put you in a position where you had to also call your friends and people that you found reputable idiots. You'd have to be like, guys, you're all following around this guy who's a complete fraud. You are idiots. And so not only would it put you in a bad position with Com, but it would also put you in a really bad position in your circle and with the people that you know. And so it really would lock in this lie, and the people that were skeptical and would be able to call it out, due to this effect right here, they didn't speak up. There was really no one making a big fuss about this. Okay, and so they would just kind of exit stage right. And what's even funnier, one thing I also want to point out, is when people get conned by this and they realize they don't want to talk about it. All the people that got scammed in the Eiffel Tower lie, they were so embarrassed after, they didn't tell anyone about it. And thus the Eiffel Tower lie was able to continue to keep going. And what this creates is this flywheel-like effect once they get going, and their network grows and grows and grows, and then they're allowed to just keep going and going and going, and they're allowed to introduce people to more people like that, and the lie becomes more solidified, and the fear of skepticism becomes more locked in. And that's exactly what the smartest con men do. And if you look at every Ponzi scheme or every big scam ever, this is really exactly how they operate. And so those are a few things to look off right off the bat right there. Look for the Eiffel Tower lie. Look for people trying to intimidate you from asking questions. You see that a lot in certain internet marketing groups. You see people try and get shamed for asking questions or being skeptical. You'll constantly see the response, oh, well, you're just not a big enough thinker, or you just have a bad attitude or something like that. You should always be skeptical of everyone. You should be super skeptical of me. You should always be super skeptical of me. All right? And there's plenty of people who have contradicting views on me and stuff like that. You should go even check that out. Okay? And then you should make your own decision about it. You should be skeptical of everybody. All right? Be skeptical of everyone always. Ask hard questions. Be a dick. Then essentially what Com would do at that point is you'd do all sorts of like really weird things. Not weird things, but they would seem kind of like normal. And then so at that point, Com still didn't sell anything. He'd come to town occasionally. He'd be always traveling all over the place. He'd come to town and say, hey, let's go get dinner. He'd just take you to dinner, buy you dinner, take you out, buy you bottle service and stuff like that. I mean, like he would invest in it, and he would refuse to let you pay for anything. And he'd always be telling you, like, he'd be at dinner telling his business stories and his life stories and the things that happened, and talking about how he gave business advice to Floyd Mayweather. And then he'd pull up a picture of Floyd Mayweather. Okay. And he'd be like, oh yeah, and I met that other boxer who Floyd fought a while back. I forget his name, but he'd pull up a picture of that guy too. And then he'd also, invite people down to come see him in Dubai. He had this penthouse in Dubai and whatnot. And when you came down, he'd be introducing you to all these princes and these sheiks and everything. Like this guy, he was doing it all. And he'd do it all with a straight face. He'd be at dinner with you and your girlfriend and not a blink of an eye. And he had this entourage of people around him who were all convinced as well. All these people didn't suspect. And seriously, this is why I say he was a sociopath. There was absolutely zero guilt. There was zero hesitation. It was literally like you were sitting down with your dad and he was just telling you about that time when you scraped your knee riding a bicycle. Zero hesitation. Look in your eye, zero doubt, nothing. And so then what Com would do is he would find odd ways to scam people out of money. And then what he would do is he would invite you to like his events and he'd have you speak at him. He's like, oh, you have a lot of potential as an entrepreneur. I want you to speak to him. And you're thinking, wow, this is really cool. This is nice and whatnot. And so then what he would eventually start doing to basically everyone is he'd start mentioning like, hey, I want to keep this kind of hush hush, but I have like this investment opportunity. We're going to be building all this real estate in Dubai and stuff like that. So that was one of his first things. I never invested in any of his things, but that's what he would do to people after he got me. He'd say, I got this, we're building this real estate thing. We're building this big bunch of land. It's going to absolutely crush it. So again, if you guys want to invest, you don't want to invest, but I have all these people in Dubai investing in it, and you can use my connections to get in it. So a lot of people go invest in it, and the money is right in Com's bank account. That's what was paying for the penthouse and his cars and his traveling and all this stuff like that. So how he got me was he eventually said, hey, cool. So what I'm going to build this mastermind because my mentor told me to give back. And so I'm going to have this mastermind. And it was very expensive. And so he got all these people in this mastermind that are really reputable. And so basically he found a way to get all these really smart people to pay to hang out with each other and pay him to allow us to hang out with each other, which honestly, I feel like I got totally duped by him, but it wasn't a scam. I have so many business connections from those masterminds. It was actually a pretty good investment for me. And so that's essentially what he'd do, and he would just basically roll with it from there. He would stay in contact with you when he came to town. He'd take you to dinner and whatnot, and he would just continue to do that with tons and tons and tons of different people. In fact, he was even on Tai Lopez. He went to Tai Lopez's house right before he got busted, and Tai Lopez was interviewing him on his success, and he was doing it, it appears, to Tai Lopez as well. So that being said, the thing that got him caught is when Com tried to pull a real Bernie Madoff and start a cryptocurrency scam. And so what he essentially did is he got all these people to invest tons of money in this cryptocurrency he was making called Habibi coin. I didn't invest in it, and frankly, about 27 years old, I had a little bit more business chops, and I started putting things together, and I was like, he doesn't really say anything that helpful, and I know a lot more about business now, and some of these things aren't making sense, and it's expensive, so I'm just not going to do it. And I kind of suspected that time, but I was like, yeah, no way. No, Eiffel Tower lie. And so Com did reach out to me, the same thing about the Habibi coin. It's going to be huge. It's going to absolutely explode and stuff like that. But he never pitched it. He always would be like, if you want to get on it, let me know. If you're not, just whatever. That's how he did it. He never aggressively sold. So, of course, a bunch of people took him up on that. And he also started this network with his brother network. And it was the same exact thing. It was like a success network where people give him like $5,000 or something like that. And he constantly prayed. This is the most disgusting thing he did. Muslims have a pretty tight-knit community, and he constantly would work his way in to these tight-knit communities and then use religion to build trust with these people and then just rip them the hell off. And so the thing that got him super busted, or at least the thing that got him sentenced, again, this is all allegedly, okay? He's not in jail yet. He's been sentenced to jail, and he has some days to get it passed. But he's been in jail the last 8 months or something, so I read. So this, again, all allegedly. But it's all looking pretty damning at this point, and based on everyone who's interacted with him, this is the same experience they had. So we did the Habibi coin thing, and essentially what happened with that, people gave him tons of money, put into it, no one got their money back. Or some people got their money back, and he was basically trying to do a whole Bernie Madoff thing. That's what I think he was trying to do. So at this point in time, I think it kind of fell apart when the crypto thing crashed. And a lot of people started saying, hey, what's going on here? Where's my money at? Where's my money at? And basically the same thing that happened to Bernie Madoff. I forgot exactly what happened, but the market crashed and people wanted to pull out their funds. And then what happened to Bernie is the same thing that happened to Com. When people were all pulling out of their funds, it all completely fell apart. And that's what I think happened. I don't know. At that point, a lot of people started reporting him to the Dubai government. And it was just a matter of time before he was picked up by the police. And now he's been sentenced. And that's that. So that's all there really is to it. And it was the weirdest experience of my life because I never thought up until this point in my life that people were quite like this. I never thought I heard about people faking it till they make it, but I never thought about it to this extent. I never thought people could just bold-faced lie to you and pretend to that extent. I never thought people could just sit across from you and lie on such a grand scale. And up until that point in my life, again, I was naive, but I also just always thought the best of people and always gave people the benefit of the doubt. I always thought, no, the person's a good guy. After that, this is one of the reasons why I'm so skeptical and kind of a bit jaded. This isn't the only thing. I've met other people like this, and I've just seen general things in certain industries and whatnot, and that's why I'm just a little bit jaded, and why I encourage you guys to be super skeptical of everything. Be super skeptical of everything. If anything is, and another thing I got to tip you is, anything's like tipping off in a little alarm in your head, you're usually right. The first time I heard from Calm, the second time I heard from Calm, there was a little bit of alarm in my head. You should always pay attention to that, because there's plenty of people that I've met that have net worths greater than that. There's no alarm. There's no alarm. I just wanted to share this story with you guys because, frankly, if you're a young gun coming up and you're making any amount of money or you're getting into business, I've met so many people that have straight conned me. I've had a business partner who linked a PayPal account into the back end of one of our softwares and started sending all the money to himself. And I'm not even going to get into other instances. I'm just telling you that if you're a young gun coming up, and I don't want to act like I have a good heart, I'm just an aw shucks innocent little guy who's just getting taken back. That's not the case. However, I do think the best of people, or I did think the best of people then, and it's really easy when you're going up to not think that people like this exist in the world. And it's very easy to get blindsided by these things if you don't know exactly the traits to look for, especially in BSers. Because the thing about BSers, and the reason why they're dangerous, is because they don't seem dangerous and they do seem good to you. All right? A good con person by nature seems trustworthy, seems respectable, seems like someone you want to hang out with. That's how they work. Okay, they aren't just annoying people that you don't like. And so I wanted to share a story with you because, again, when you're coming up, people are going to try and do this to you. People are going to try and take advantage of you. And the thing that you have to understand is that people are going to take advantage of you. I see people all over the internet right now yelling about people running ads on YouTube and stuff like that. And I see people all the time. You think it's going to be someone selling you something. That's not where you're going to get taken advantage of. Trust me. It could, but where you're more likely to get taken advantage of, it's going to be your business partners. It's going to be the people closest to you, or people that get close to you in your life. Okay, not everyone close. I'm not saying like your dad's going to dip into your wallet, but people will try and inject themselves in your life very casually and get close to you, and they will take advantage of you. And it's going to be people that seem like they want to help you. Okay, it's going to be people that seem like they want to help you and be your friend. And so those are the places you want to look for it in. Those are the places you really want to look for it in. And they're going to paint a beautiful picture, and they're going to point all this stuff. You want to look for, if you want to look for people who you want to partner with, look at the people I've interviewed on the channel so far, like Jason Cohen or Nathan Barry. Both of them extremely successful owners of companies that are worth over 9 figures. I think Jason's is over 10 now, and I've spoken to other people like that. You want to find the people that are not painting beautiful pictures and are almost just like down to earth, chill, and like they're not super excited. They're not trying to push anything on you. They're not trying to like tell you some big grand thing. They're not excited all the time, and they really choose their words wisely. Those are the people you want to look for. So kind of a general ramble, guys, but I think one of the most important lessons I ever learned, and I'm very thankful I got out of it as I did. And that's it. I'll see you guys in the next video.